In a few seconds, say out loud what you think the single most important event in German history is. Go. I was going to say the release of the Man Machine by Kraftwerk. But Matt, when are people going to get over it already? I mean, it's just the World Cup.
Some of our viewers might notice that we've brought in an extra piece of machinery to celebrate the fact that we are reviewing the Man Machine by Kraftwerk. This is a microphone.
So the thing about Kraftwerk was that they pretend to be robots.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this whole thing about, we're not people, but we're robots. And they really liked machines, and they made the music on machines, and that's a good example. I mean, everyone's using those these days, but at the time it was
revolutionary to be using a microphone as opposed to just kind of shouting loudly.
All the music is made on synthesizers. Basically, it's all kind of like
before that, it was all kind of like gling, gling, gling.
Yeah.
So that was a seismic shift.
Oh yeah, I would call it a revolution. And the thing about Kraftwerk is that they would actually build the machines that they would use. It's sort of like that time when you defecated in your pants and we recorded it and we called it like Shit Show or something and we put it out as a hardcore punk record.
Yep, now out on Sony EMI.
It's really good, this record, because nothing really sounds like it before or
after.
Since.
Yeah, no one really picked it up. No one really got around the whole... Everyone loved Kraftwerk, but no one actually made music kind of exactly like Kraftwerk.
Yeah, like people started making synth pop, but it was more like you get a band and then you'd put the synth in it and you'd like make poppy stuff over it. Whereas like Kraftwerk, like we're much more extreme and it's like everything is a synth.
I mean, with such classic hits as We Are the Robots.
I mean, it's a shame because this was a record that was, it was revolutionary for music because it got everyone into electronic music, which now, it's sort of hard to remember now that like there was a time where people were really into electronic music because, now we've all gone back to that old time of rock and roll. In the 70s, everyone, was picking up synths.
It looked like it was going to be a sensation. It was going to take over the world, but of course everyone had their eyes set on that boogie woogie, that honky tonk blues.
Thank God for that. But despite how much you're probably a honk tonk fan, this is good music. This is great electronic music. You wouldn't dance to it.
No. I mean, you kind of move, but you wouldn't call it dancing. It's kind of...
Well, the problem is that there's not really any kind of established dance moves to do to music about robots.
The Worm?
Yeah, it could work. People, they'd never heard anything like it. People started calling it krautrock, which is sort of the only genre name which is explicitly racist, other than Jew wave.
Yeah, that really took off in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Germans have kind of been copying it ever since Man Machine came out because it pretty much introduced the idea that all Germans are cold, heartless robots without a sense of humour.
In the Kraftwerk oeuvre, it was sort of their bid at popdom. So up until then, they'd been just using the synths to make like textures and sort of poppy textures, but nothing is sort of like I don't know. I mean, it was a shame because people call all of this music krautrock because there were other krautrock bands like Can and Noi, but actually, again, it was just a racist epithet because none of these bands sounded anything like each other. The only thing that made them all krautrock was that they were all rocking and they were krauts. Except that Kraftwerk weren't rocking, and probably they would not like to be called krauts. Because they've made so much money off of this career, you wouldn't want to say it to their face, because they could probably have you. This is great stuff. If you haven't listened to the Man Machine by Kraftwerk, you should 5 Sachen für mich.
Look, it's a bona fide classic. It's a Rigi-Dig classic. It's also a 5 Zac. Did I say that right?
Yes.
From me.
Zac.
5 Zac. From me, Mac Gotch, signing off. Hey Record Club, wow, great. Another sick episode of At the Music Record Club with Zac and Gotchy. What did you think of the Man Machine by Kraftwerk? Share your thoughts below. Next week, Dig Me Out by Sleater Kinney. Give it a listen. We want to hear what you think.
I tell you what, every day is harder than the one before it.
You can, if you take up like Pilates, apparently it's really good for your sort of mental wherewithal. I'd started doing it and I've started talking to my mother more. I'm more communicative with your mother as well. Haven't talked to Dad in a while.
There's nothing in my life that I enjoy anymore.
Again, I can only reiterate the Pilates thing. Maybe we should start reading or collecting stamps instead. Is that our tram?